Hello, my Ellie Belly friends. It's Miss Jill. I wanted to take a minute and read a fun book that had nothing to do with our unit studies. This is a book that belonged to Catherine. It was one of her absolute favorite books when she was your age. This book is called Falling for Rapunzel. It is written by Laura Wilcox and it is illustrated by Lydia Monks. So, one question I'm going to ask you every single time we read is about the parts of a book, because I think that's a very important thing for you to know, and you need to remember that as you're growing up. So, tell me, if you will, what part of the book is this? I hope everybody is saying that it is the front or the cover of the book. When you flip it over, what do we have here? This is the back of our book. And here, what is this? I hope everybody's saying spine. It's the spine on our book. It's the part of the book that holds it all together. Another important thing that you need to remember about books is that there are two parts to them, usually. There is an author and an illustrator. What is the name of the person that writes the words? What are they called again? Oh, it's the author, right? The author writes the words. The author writes the words. Hi-ho, did you know the author writes the words? And who draws the pictures? Or who's the person who takes the photographs with their camera to put in the book? That's right, it's the illustrator. The illustrator draws the pictures. The illustrator draws the pictures. Hi-ho, did you know the illustrator draws the pictures? So, now that we know that Falling for Rapunzel is a book that was written by Laura Wilcox and illustrated by Lydia Monks, let's read Falling for Rapunzel. Here we go. Once upon a bad hair day, a prince rode up Rapunzel's way. From up above, he heard her whine, upset her hair had lost its shine. He thought her crying was a plea, and sallied forth to set her free. Alas, she was too far away to quite make out what he would say. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, throw down your hair. She thought he said, your underwear. No, Rapunzel, your curly locks, said the prince. Rapunzel threw down dirty socks. Please, love, just your silky tresses. She thought he asked for silky dresses. In lace and frills up to his head, the prince's cheeks were blushing red. Rapunzel, do you have a rope? Rapunzel dropped a cantaloupe. It burst in pieces on his head. Oh, bad catch, Rapunzel said. Perhaps, he sighed, this is a test. And bound by love, he did not rest. Okay, Rapunzel, how about twine? See, there he is. He's shouting up to her. He's asking her for some twine. Oh, dear. She heaved out her blue ribbon swine. A swine is another name for a pig. By now, the prince was feeling hammered, not to mention less enamored. He growled up, do you have a ladder? Rapunzel tossed out pancake batter. It covered him from head to toe. She yelled, it's better cooked, you know. At this, poor prince had a cry, then cupped his hands for one last try. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your braid." Confused, Rapunzel pushed out her maid. The maid fell squarely on the prince. Quite pleased with the coincidence, she nimbly jumped off his lap and soon revived the flattened chap. Then smiling said, "For what it's worth, you'll find I'm really down to earth." His young heart thrilled, he gave a hoot, for what was more, the maid was cute. She set the prince upon his teed, then leapt up behind with graceful speed, and leaning close so he could hear, she whispered something in his ear. "I fell for you when we first met." He nodded, "How could I forget?" Rapunzel watched them ride from sight. "I'm glad I finally heard him right." "I hope if they come back for more, they'll think to use and not at my back door." The end, my friends. I hope you enjoyed that silly story. Did you guys notice that there were a lot of words that rhymed and that was kind of confusing for the prince? Let's go back and look at some of them. So this is where she was upset because her hair wasn't shiny anymore. And there he is outside the window, and he heard her wailing and complaining that her hair wasn't shiny, and he thought she was in trouble. But she was kind of far away, high up in that tower. So when he said, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," she didn't hear him quite right because she was so far away. So she threw down her underwear. Silly, silly Rapunzel. So he tried again. "No, Rapunzel, your curly locks." He meant her hair, her pretty, pretty long hair. But she thought instead of locks, he said socks. Locks, socks. That rhymes. I could see how she could be confused by that. He says, "No, no, throw down your silky tresses." Tresses is another word for hair. So she hears him say to throw down her tresses, and thinks that he's asking him to throw down dresses. Oh goodness, he's so frustrated at this point. So he says, let me back up. He is asking her here after the dresses. He's asking her to throw down a rope. She doesn't hear rope. She hears cantaloupe. Cantaloupe, rope. I can see how that would be confusing. He's finally getting a little bit more frustrated, but he loves her, he thinks, so he's going to keep on going. And he asks her to throw down twine. Twine is kind of like a skinny, sturdy piece of rope. Twine, she doesn't hear twine, she hears swine. And swine is another word for pig. She threw him her pig. He's pretty mad now, look at that. Kind of angry. The pig's like, "Hey, hi there, guys." And the horse is a little confused, but seems happy that he's going to have a friend in the pig, right? He gets finally really angry and yells, "Do you have a ladder?" But that princess, she's way up in the tower. She can't hear him, so she throws out pancake batter. Batter, ladder. Okay, I can see how she might be a little confused. He gives it one more try. He says, "Oh, Rapunzel, throw down your braid." Everybody in my class, I know you know what a braid is. Rapunzel was very confused, so she threw down her maid. Maid, braid. Okay, those rhyme. I can see how she might want to throw down her maid instead of her braid. But that ended up being a-okay because the maid fell in love with the prince. And they end up riding off happily ever after. And Rapunzel's watching this whole thing from way up in her tower and thinks, "Whew, I'm glad I finally heard him right. I threw him the right thing." And she says, I hope the next time they just come and knock at the door instead of hollering at me all the way up in my window. It's a silly story, but lots of rhymes and lots of ways I think the prince and the Princess Rapunzel could be confused. You guys can practice rhyming too. In fact, let me see if I can think of a few rhymes. Bread, bed, head, said, fed. Now you try one. Let's try sit. What did you come up with? Sit, bit, hit, fit, kit, mit. Okay, let's try another one. Let's try hat. Hat, cat, mat, rat, pat, fat. And let's try one more rhyme that we can try to do. How about boy? Boy, toy, joy. Can you think of any other ones? Can you make some funny ones? Anybody out there? You guys making funnies? I hope so. You should be practicing some rhyming words with mom and dad, or maybe one of your brothers or sisters. And if you think of any, you should have mom and dad write them down and send them to me so we can practice them together. All right, loves, have a great time. Enjoy being home with your family, and I hope I get to see you really soon. I love you guys. Bye, Ellie Bellies.